I am going to welcome a new guest to the show. We're going to have live views again. We've got I have just heard that we have now lost Dubai. You saw Dubai get darker and darker, and that was just the sun setting. Here we are with the live views from the solar telescope just behind me. It's what SLU members are going to watch every single day from now on. And you can see there, the sun is on the left. You can see the small black dot, which is just to the right of center of the sun. That is the tiny orb of Mercury. Mercury, you now know so many interesting and fascinating facts from SLU astronomer Bob Berman. You'll be able to tell all your friends. Now, you may be asking yourself, what is that large round thing to the right of the sun? Well, that's our second sun. I don't know if you knew that we had a second sun, but there it is. It's normally hidden from view. NASA and other organizations, they usually hide that stuff away from us. They don't tell us the truth, but you know, there it is. It's true. Anyway, I want to welcome our next guest. Many of us study.
Well, listen, I'll tell you what, we'll carry on anyway. So hopefully those people who have refreshed their browsers will see this new Hangout that's been started. You know, it's almost as if somebody doesn't want us to be broadcasting this stuff tonight. So there you go. It's handed straight to the conspiracy theorists. Now listen, we've still got live on SLU on the homepage these fantastic views that Matt Francis is giving us. We've got a solar flare there. It's looking absolutely gorgeous. So you've got to be on the homepage to be looking at these images properly. I'll just share the homepage, show people what they're missing. You can normally click between these views. Let's just see what the conditions are like in the Canary Islands. Still cloudy. You know, it might clear later, so we might get to see some asteroids and comets a little bit later, so that'll be fun. But we seem to be beset by loads of tech problems, don't we, tonight? So anyway, making things worse. Cox times, yeah, am I? Oh, well. Anyway, listen, I'm just going to tell you very quickly about something, because Bob was talking about the real threats, you know, because this has been something I've been thinking about over the last couple of weeks. You see all of these kooky ideas that actually have come, a vast majority of these, especially with Nibiru, has come from one person who believes she's channeling alien messages, basically, right? And she's been channeling these since goodness knows when, early 2000s. And there's loads of other conspiracy sites. You've seen it all, and we've been talking already about being very little evidence, no science to back up any of these claims. But my view is, you know, we don't really need to make that stuff up to understand just how exciting, how dynamic, and how risk-laden our solar system and existence is in any case. Now, even if we put to one side the man-made potential doomsayer stuff like, I don't know, nuclear war or pandemics. You could even blame, you know, modern living on pandemics, but that's slightly natural. But if you take all of those out of the equation and just concentrate on what we're kind of looking at over these next couple of days at SLU, is the astronomical things. Now, we have seen so far on SLU this year, I think I counted 4 near-Earth asteroids. These are large asteroids which made close approaches to Earth, and they made those approaches only within days of being discovered. So these things weren't discovered kind of 2 years ago and yeah, we know this thing's coming towards us. These things were discovered, say, on a Friday when it was making its closest path, closest approach to Earth on the following Tuesday. And we've been looking at those live every time one of those has happened. And we know that asteroids hit things. They hit other planets. So we shouldn't think that Earth is immune to that. Also this year on SLU, we saw an asteroid or comet, we don't know which it was, but we saw it plummet and flash in an enormous explosion in Jupiter's atmosphere. It was the most amazing thing, and we were actually doing some live shows, and this news came in from the internet, and there were the videos. that actually showed this asteroid or comet just exploding on the top of Jupiter. Now, I read somewhere that that was going to be somewhere the equivalent of 50 billion tons of TNT. Now, we start getting into the kind of event that we see in the Hollywood movies. We all know these extinction level events. Well, they happen. The biggest one that we know about, and we have proof for, happened 65 million years ago. It happened to the dinosaurs. So maybe they were sitting around scratching. I wonder whether they had people who were, or fellow animals thinking, yeah, it's a conspiracy. You don't need the conspiracy stuff for the threats to be real. But what we do know is that there is no asteroid which is currently being observed which is going to hit Earth on Friday. Right? So, yeah, it's a potential risk, but not this Friday. We've also got the solar flares that we've been hearing about tonight. Those are a risk as well. But not only are there so many space telescopes pointing to the sun all the time at the moment, but amateurs as well look at the sun on a daily basis. Now, a conspiracy would have to not only include NASA and all of the other governmental bodies around the world, all of the educational establishments with observatories around the world, but it would also, that conspiracy would also have to suck in tens of thousands of amateur astronomers who all look at the sun in exactly the same way that Matt Francis is showing us at the moment. This is a live view on the SLU homepage of this flare on the limb of the sun. This is a live view from Arizona. He's pointing his solar telescope. It's an expensive bit of kit, but it's within the reach of a lot of people. Now we know, because we've had past experience, the one in Canada that we've been talking about, these coronal mass ejections, and those, I tell you, they can be, I think it was something like 500, what was that? Oh, I saw a brilliant bit of information about that tonight, about how strong it was. Here we go. It is 160. So some of these coronal mass ejections that we're talking about, they have the equivalent energy of 160 billion megatons of TNT. That's 25,000 times more energy than was released with the impact of comet Shoemaker-Levy 9, which we saw slamming into Jupiter a number of years ago. So once again, we've seen this stuff. We can measure it. So we know that these risks are real. We don't need to revert to the conspiracy theorist stuff. We don't need to listen to people who are channeling information. They've been chosen for some unknown reason by aliens to channel their messages through. We don't need to listen to all of that. Right? And I'll tell you one thing, none of these guys are going to apologize when they wake up on Saturday morning for wasting everybody's time. Because I was talking to Bob just before this show, and I'm not going to go on much longer, but I was talking to Bob before that show started that we were bombed out of. The way these people work is they're confidence tricksters. That's the methodology that they use. And what they do, if you look at their blogs and stuff like that, they put one of their kooky articles in there, right, about an alien telling us that this planet is pointing its northern pole to Earth at the moment. This planet that nobody's seen, right, even though they claim people are seeing it, they don't actually provide proper pictures. The only pictures they show are people pointing iPhones up to the sun and having a reflection in the optics with it. Hey, look at the homepage at the moment because we've got another smashing live image of the sun there. What these people do is they put that kind of kooky thing in their blog, but the next thing they put in their blog is a news release direct from NASA, which is a kosher story. It's a true story. So what they do is they camouflage their muck, right, in this shroud of real science. So they're pseudo-science, and you see the terms that they use, gravity fields and stuff like this. They might sound scientific, but they're not. Anybody who takes the smallest amount of time to actually investigate these things and actually look back, you hear a rumor about the planet Nibiru. The best way of really understanding that is to go back all the way to the beginning to see where that story of Nibiru started. And it starts with a kooky woman who thinks aliens are channeling through her. And no doubt she'll write about us on her blog like she does anybody else who dares to criticize her. And you know what they always do? there. Go back, have a look at the articles today that say the world's going to end on Friday. I guarantee you on Saturday, those things will be removed. And on Sunday, I'll tell you also what's going to happen. We've got a big asteroid that's going to be passing very, very close to Earth on February the 15th, 2013. It's actually passing closer to Earth than geosynchronous satellites are. Geosynchronous satellites are usually the kind that carry TV signals and stuff like that. This asteroid is going to be passing closer to Earth than that. We're still not going to be in any danger of it. We know we're not going to be in any danger of that asteroid, but that's what they'll all move on to. These conspiracy theorists will just move the whole story on like they did in 2003. They shifted it on to 2012. And what's just around our corner? Just like the Mayan calendar ends, what do we do at the end of our calendar? We actually have a big celebration because it's the end of one year, start of another. That's what the Mayans would have done at the end of this calendar. They would be celebrating a new calendar just like we would. But what's next year? 2013. Guess what the conspiracy theorists are going to pick up next year? 13. Oh, you know, it all rings bells. They are already, I'm already been listening this week to some of the blogs, some of the videos that they post and stuff like that. They are already backtracking because the closer we've got to Friday and Nibiru's not turning up, none of these other things are turning up. There's not this huge galactic alignment which is putting Earth into perpetual darkness. None of this stuff is happening. So they're starting already to backtrack on their blogs, right, and start saying, well, the calendar's out by a year. It's not this 21st of December. It's 21st of December 2013, and that's all that happens. And you just follow these people, and as one piece of evidence blows their ideas out of the water, or one supposed prophecy and date passes, they just shift their whole machine, their whole conspiracy machine, onto the next one. So anyway, I've had my rant. I apologize for that, but we lost Bob, we lost Matt in the first Hangout. Google Hangouts do that every once in a while. Hopefully no one's trying to take us off air tonight. I don't believe in conspiracies like that. Oh, by the way, we did land on the moon. Anyway, I'm really off my soapbox now. We have got another show for you lined up in 35 minutes. Pat Palucci is going to be taking the helm on that one. He'll probably be a little bit more measured than I've just been. But I feel a lot better, thank you. Getting that off my chest. I'll better have a look at what's written in the conversations. I expect I've already been flamed to pieces for what I've said there. But that's cutting to the chase, folks. Nothing's going to happen on the 21st. There is nothing forecast. There is nothing in the sky that we've seen that could lead to any kind of damage on Earth or to people on Earth. It ain't going to happen. We're going to plan for what you're going to eat for your breakfast on Saturday morning, because you're going to need to. In the meantime, don't forget, all of SLU's free broadcasts are supported by SLU membership. The telescopes that we show you during these live shows, you can actually control. You could point it to see where you think Nibiru is if you want. But there's a serious side of using it. They're great fun to use. You use these telescopes, a half-meter telescope, which is massive. Costs about £100,000 all in all, that particular setup. $200,000, something like that, and you get to control that. It's a world-class observatory site, and you get real-time color images back straight to you, and it has all sorts of little features. Sometime tonight, I will probably do a little segment for you just to show you how easy it is to use the SLU telescopes. But it's SLU members and their subscriptions to SLU. Costs $150 a year to be able to control these telescopes, which isn't a lot because you're going to get a tiny little telescope from a store, which is only good for looking at the planets and the moon for that kind of money. But I'm going to show you later maybe how to use it. Dispel any fears people have that it's complicated or too much for them. It's really simple. But I tell you, you get some fantastic images. I'm Paul Cox. This has been SLU Space Camera. I've been on my soapbox for 20 minutes, so thank you for joining me for this one, and we'll see you a bit later. Goodbye, all.